beautiful and charming. A place that in many ways has shaped our modern world. Italy gave us ancient Rome and engineering marvels like the aqueduct. They built cool stuff like this, and borrowed pointy things like this from Egypt and plopped it right in the middle of their city. They say the men of ancient Rome had an average height of 5'5", and boy, did these short kings deliver. They built incredible, overcompensating structures that have lasted millennia. These grand and historical buildings are what bring millions and millions of chunky tourists to Rome every year, all hungry for pizza, all thirsty for wine, and all quietly contemplating if drinking from these street fountains will make them sick. No doubt, Rome is beautiful and charming. But beyond its historical grandeur, what truly defines this country is the deep-rooted pride in its cuisine, and more importantly, pride in its ingredients. Simple and delicious, Italian cuisine is all about the ingredients, featuring the highest quality and, more importantly, fresh ingredients. The freshest tomatoes, eggplant, olives, basil, bottomless wine, and yes, pepperoncini. The cultural pride in fresh ingredients is what makes Italian cuisine so special. Simple dishes with the freshest ingredients. Italy has had an outsized impact on the culinary world, and there's no single dish more iconic and beloved more than pizza. From Japan to Mexico, more than 5 billion pizzas are consumed across the globe per year. Everyone loves pizza. Families on a Friday night, post-Little League game pizza parties, and even the cure for a slightly hungover 30-something fighting off the Sunday scaries. Pizza makes every situation better. Seriously, can you think of a single situation that could not be improved with a slice of pizza? Italians take great pride in their cuisine, and they've perfected the craft of pizza making. Over the years, I've heard countless friends say something along the lines of, I ate nothing but pizza and pasta in Italy for 2 weeks, and for some reason, I don't feel like a complete lardass. The reason? Simple. Fresh, local ingredients. Multi-day fermented dough with simple crushed tomatoes, house-made mozzarella with a drizzle of olive oil, and you can't forget just a pinch of herbs to finish. Sorry about that. Got a little carried away. Like many things, America has taken pizza and made it, well, better. New York thin with just the right amount of flop, Neapolitan style with fresh produce only California can provide. America has taken something great and made it in many ways better. But in other ways, we've taken a beautiful thing like pizza and turned it into the margin-optimized economic machine that only America can do. And there's no better example than that than the red pepper flake. Seriously, what is this? What kind of chili pepper is it? Red is a color, not a kind of chili pepper. So what is this thing? And why is this cardboard-tasting condiment on the table of every pizza restaurant in the country? There's a reason this shaker is so dented and nobody seems to care. These are the questions that bring us to Italy, to rediscover why this condiment is on the table of every pizza restaurant, to discover where it came from and help us find a way back to the way it was intended to be. The answers to these questions take us off the tourist-trampled path of Rome, south to Calabria. Calabria is about 500 kilometers south of Rome, in the middle of Italy's boot. Beautifully rugged and rich in history, this relatively tourist-free region is sandwiched between the Ionian and Tyrrhenian seas. Beautiful cliffside beaches, mountaintop villages, the freshest seafood, with volcanic-rich soil that yields some of the finest produce in the world. Herbs, olives, endless vineyards and wine, and of course, the Calabrian pepperoncini. The Normans once controlled this region, and you'll still find a few of these medieval castles littered throughout Calabria. Pretty cool to see the castles, but even cooler that these guys are no longer in charge. Seriously, this is a castle in Calabria that was built by the Normans and the Templars around the year 1000 AD. Really impressive castle, but somebody forgot to clean up their torture devices from the basement. Like, come on guys, take it easy. Is this spike chair necessary? And why do you have so many pliers laying around? Crazy enough, they're still finding these guys buried underneath these castles. But I digress. Calabrian pepperoncini. The tradition of adding pepperoncini to pizza traces its roots back to Calabria. When Southern Italians emigrated to the United States in the early 19th century, they brought with them their passion for simple, high-quality ingredients and a love for all things spicy. And let me tell you, the quote-unquote red pepper flakes you put on your pizza today are but a pale imitation of these fresh, fiery Calabrian chilies. Within the broad classification of Calabrian chili peppers, there are several sub-varietals that have very different flavor and heat characteristics. We grow a sub-varietal called Naso di cane, which stands for nose of the dog. As you can see here, the shape of the chili somewhat resembles a dog's nose. This varietal has a really deep, fruity flavor, almost like a dark, non-tart cherry, with a mild heat level that fluctuates between 50 and 30,000 Scoville heat units. But instead of hearing this from us, we'd like to introduce you to one of our Calabrian farming friends, Giacomo.
Buongiorno, io sono Giacomo Muraca, sono nato a Cicala, un paesino della Calabria, a culla della dieta mediterranea, dove è stata studiata la dieta mediterranea per la longevità delle persone che vivono molto e a lungo. Peperone crusco che coltiviamo in montagna, in modo particolare che mi piace di più è il naso di cane. Il naso di cane perché si presenta bello, lavorabile, si toglie il torsolo in modo eccezionale e poi è molto carnoso, molto saporito, ma anche nella buccia che contiene molto licopene e antiossidanti. Ecco il peperoncino perché fa bene alla salute e perché deve essere consumato. Io diciamo sono un po' un esempio, ho circa tanti anni ma sembra che ne abbia di meno per il tipo di dieta che io faccio e per il mangiare mediterraneo. La Calabria è stata sempre una terra di conquiste, abbiamo circa 800 km di costa, abbiamo i laghi, abbiamo le foreste, trovandosi in una condizione dove c'era un monastero cistercense e dove le ragazze andavano a confessarsi, le donne andavano a confessarsi e poi uscivano da questo convento a una per espiare i peccati, ma molte volte la più bella non usciva, si travestirono da pastori, accompagnarono le loro donne in questo monastero, entrarono in questo convento e trovarono questa ragazza su un tavolo che aveva mangiato dei cibi afrodisiaci con delle bevande afrodisiache, nuda, e tutti i monaci pronti là per fare atti sessuali con questa ragazza. E allora i Muraca, entrati in vista questa scena, tirarono fuori i coltelli e castrarono tutti quanti i monaci. E a quel punto i Muraca furono smaledetti fino alla 7ª generazione e quindi i Muraca sono sparsi nel mondo, ma noi siamo rimasti in questa terra per continuare quella che era la tradizione.
Let me summarize that for you. Basically, a long time ago, his ancestors cut off the nuts of all the local church friars because they were taking advantage of local women after getting them all hopped up on wine and delicious treats. All right, now back to Giacomo.
Rubarono dei libri, si presero questi libri dove vi erano le ricette per i cibi e per le bevande afrodisiache e per il buon cibo che i monaci utilizzavano. E poi si è tramandato verbalmente, in modo orale, il fatto delle buone tradizioni, dei buoni cibi e delle buone bevande. I terreni ottimi, coltiviamo anche in biologico senza utilizzare antiparassitari, anticrittogamici, e nei nostri prodotti non mettiamo né conservanti né coloranti. E proprio lui, insieme al clima, all'aria buona, e alla temperatura e all'acqua pura che ci dà il sapore, che ci dà questi prodotti eccezionali che la nostra terra di Calabria riesce a produrre.
In Rome, much of the pizza is made Roman style, meaning they're using a par-baked focaccia-style dough and layering on an array of fresh ingredients on top. Zucchini, tomatoes, herbs, prosciutto. Really delicious, but more targeted for slices on the go. They also use this same bread to make these amazing sandwiches. Down south, the pizza is more Napolitano style. The dough is fermented for longer, usually a more simple array of ingredients, baked at a high temperature for a shorter period of time within one of these cool wood-fired ovens. Crispy, charred exterior, light and airy interior. Giacomo's sons, Nando, Antonio, and Ivan, took us to their friend's restaurant, Rayu. Emilio and the guys at Rayu were kind enough to lend us their kitchen to whip up some spicy pizzas. Now, these guys are always telling me how spicy they think Calabrian chilies are, so I had to bring them something truly spicy, a bottle of I Can't Feel My Face. For those of you who aren't familiar with this flavor, it's a mix of Reaper, Scorpion, Ghost, and Habanero. About 750,000 Scoville, compared to the roughly 30,000 Scoville of the Calabrian chilies. And by the look of Nando's face here, I think we have another satisfied customer. Our journey continues to another area of Calabria with a substantially different climate. The area where Giacomo is growing is mountainous, with higher levels of humidity and moisture. He's growing within a narrow valley, which leads to less direct sunlight throughout the day, resulting in a longer growing season. This next region is almost the polar opposite. Arid, dry, and relatively flat with a much lower level of humidity as it slopes along the Ionian Sea. Casabona is a beautiful commune with an extremely interesting history. Cave dwellings in the surrounding hills date back to almost 4,000 BC. No tickets or gift shops or buses shuttling chunky tourists, these caves litter the landscape, out in the open and free to explore. Today, many of these caves are used to store chickens and other livestock. But over the centuries, towns have been built on top of many of these caves, but some estimate that these hills once had over 2,000 cave dwellings. Since then, many of these towns have come and gone. These are the remnants of an ancient church that was previously the center of Casabona. This town was destroyed in the great earthquakes of 1783. Today, this is all that remains of that ancient town. Also, we didn't realize the danger at the time, but reviewing this footage showed just how unstable this sandstone cliff was, which is probably why you can see our guides, Mario and Giovanni, standing at a safe distance from this edge of death. Unlike us. Thanks, guys. Anyways, now is likely a good time to introduce you to Mario, the man who led me to this unstable cliff, and also a man who is growing some of the best Calabrian chili peppers on the planet. Mario and his wife, Raffaella, have been growing Calabrian chili peppers for years. And here she is to better explain their business.
Allora, mi chiamo Raffaella Scutifero e vengo da Casabona, un paesino della Calabria. Mi piace lo stile di vita, perché noi calabresi ci piace sia mangiare bene, ma anche tessere rapporti con gli amici e le famiglie sono molto unite. Tutto avviene intorno alla tavola, cioè davanti a quello che è il cibo, perché è un cibo di qualità ed è importante per noi la produzione di cibo. Non ci sono grosse città nella Calabria e l'aria quindi proprio per questo motivo non è contaminata. Il 90% di quello che circolava nelle nostre zone era importato dall'India, dalla Cina. E da qui quindi è nata l'azienda, un'azienda che fin dal primo momento ha avuto un grosso successo, perché la domanda di peperoncino, essendo un peperoncino eccellente di qualità, Possiamo dire che il peperoncino, come anche il cibo, sono di qualità in Calabria proprio perché la qualità parte dalla coltivazione, è la materia prima quella che fa la differenza. Il peperoncino, per esempio, viene coltivato non in maniera intensiva, cioè le coltivazioni sono con residuo zero, quindi non ci sono residui chimici. I trattamenti fitosanitari sono quasi inesistenti e si può, diciamo, omologare a quella che è un'agricoltura biologica, anche se produciamo anche il biologico. A poca distanza da dove è ubicata l'azienda c'è la sila, quindi sia la sila, quindi con la sua ossigenazione, sia il mare condizionano quello che è il prodotto, cioè lo fanno diventare più buono proprio perché si crea quel microclima adatto per la coltivazione. Il suolo fa anche la sua parte perché dà, diciamo, quella ricchezza di gusto che solo qui in Calabria troviamo, considerato che i terreni sono ricchi di sostanze nutritive che ci provengono dal fatto di non essere terreni sfruttati. Prima ancora che ci fosse il frigorifero, il peperoncino insieme al sale servivano come metodi di conservazione. Considerato le latitudini, da noi le temperature non scendono mai al di sotto dei 5 gradi, anche d'inverno, raggiungono i 45-47 gradi d'estate. Sono il clima ideale per produrre il peperoncino. Oltre al peperoncino produciamo anche il finocchietto biologico. Quindi a produrre il finocchietto produciamo anche il pomodoro, zona che viene ossigenata dai monti che ci sono a pochi chilometri e dal mare. Quindi i nostri cibi hanno un sapore gustoso proprio perché seguono quello che è l'andamento lento della natura. Il fast da noi non esiste ed è questo quello che mi piace della Calabria.
It pains us to even compare these Naso Calabrian pepperoncinis to the stale, dented, sad red pepper flakes you see on pizza tables all throughout America. The flavor isn't even on the same planet. Calabrian chili peppers are the result of rich volcanic soil and the dedication of generations of families like this who care deeply about the quality of the food they produce. This beautiful place and these beautiful families have gifted us the tradition of putting red pepper flakes on our pizzas. And we intend to honor that tradition by continuing our mission to liberate you from boring red pepper flakes.